Hello, my name is Dan Johnson and welcome back to the Who Podcast. This month I am joined once again for the first time of the year by Will.
Hello again.
Tuning in all the way from Sheffield to be here tonight with a cat and a dog that he didn't want either of, but he's got them. Today we're going to be talking about suggestions for historical events / people that would make good Doctor Who episodes, because, well, as we were talking earlier, the news for Doctor Who is a little bit thin on the ground at the minute. Although, obviously, of course, now it's going to be March when this comes out. It will mean that we're March, April, May, 2 months away from new episodes of Doctor Who, which is exciting. No. Finish your tweet.
Sorry.
You made me quote Deadpool.
Sorry. Oh, Deadpool. We can talk about Deadpool. We've had a trailer for Deadpool.
Yeah. Other than a trailer for Deadpool, which has nothing to do with Doctor Who, there's not been a great amount of Doctor Who stuff other than the writers' room scripts. I haven't even looked at those things. I probably should. They were quite interesting, weren't they?
Yes.
We had a piece of information that said that episode 2 or 3 of the new series was entitled The Devil's Chord, and was to feature the Beatles. So, Will, you look very eager to go ahead on your first one. So, would you like to give me your historical event / person and episode ideas, if you have any?
Yep. It is Boudica.
Boudica. Oh, interesting choice.
And I think Boudica should be against the Axons because they look a bit like Roman statues, and she fought Romans.
When they first arrive and they're trying to sort of show that they're
human,
like human,
they look a
the
bit
human
like
forms.
Romans with
Okay.
the gold. So I think Boudica should be against the Axons. Have I actually watched Claws of the Axons? No.
Claws of Axos.
Dan,
It's called Claws of Axos. No.
Dan, tell me what happens in Claws of the Axons.
In Claws of Axos, the Axons land. So John Pertwee episode, they land. Unit go and meet them, and they say that we come in peace and we're going to offer you something called Axonite.
Just like the Romans. Oh my God. They. Right, yeah.
It's like a power, I think. It's a power source and stuff. They're going to lend all these technologies. And then they mess around in the ship for a bit. Their ship's made of organic matter. So everything that sort of like... So they get imprisoned by like tentacles and things like that. Hot. And then they break out, and then it all ends with this thing with the Master showing up because it's Series 8. And... Season 8. Yes. Then the Master shows up, and then there's this big blob thing that's all like spaghetti.
Okay, so how can we make the Axons work with Boudica and the Romans? It's not our job. We're not head writers.
We're not writers. No, I think from the sort of peaceful elements that we've had of the Axons so far, probably not. But
so we can't have the Axons.
No, I was going to say that there was an episode, David Tennant Ace one, I think, called Something of Axos. Can't remember what it was called. And it's an audio
Big Finish
that features Axons, and obviously they're pretty much evil all the way through. As long as you have this sort of organic matter and stuff like that, then it works.
Okay. So anyway,
it would just be an odd choice, but yeah.
Boudica for me. Boudica.
What drew you to Boudica particularly?
You said think of historical people. Horrible Histories came into my head, and then I thought of I'm Boudica song.
Do you know what it reminds me of? The Eaters of Light.
That's literally what it is. Yeah, but that was a crap one.
Yeah, but that was crap.
But I'd make it so much better because I'm having Boudica.
Great work from Will.
Right, are we just going to go through all of mine and then all of yours?
Yes, we can do that if you like. Yeah, go on. Hit me.
My next one, Alexander the Great.
Ooh, okay.
I don't know who Alexander the Great would be against.
I literally thought you went. I don't know who Alexander the Great is, but I googled
I
it.
do. I've played Assassin's Creed Valhalla, so I do
Okay.
know. Thank you. Oh God, who could it be again? Sontarans? No, because they're blasty, and he's swordy, so that wouldn't work.
No, although
There's-
not necessarily.
Sontarans is a bit too basic. You think of war, you think of Sontarans. Silurians.
I think you're probably with the better idea with the Centaurans because the whole war thing and him being a really vicious.
Okay, so
Leader.
in my version, Alexander the Great has guns and goes against the Sontarans with guns.
Okay, when it was it if the Centaurans had the guns?
Sontarans have the guns.
Yeah.
Alexander the Great has guns.
No, he doesn't because it's not that time. Guns don't exist yet.
Okay,
When
my
do you
next
think
one,
Alexander the Great was around? For him to have guns.
It's Doctor Who, man. He could have guns.
It was 300 BC.
All right, yeah. So
Maybe not then.
slingshots. Okay, no, but I just Sontaran's all right, but I feel like any war you could chuck Sontaran in it. It's just,
Yeah.
oh, it's a war Sontaran. I feel like you need. Yeah.
I'm reading stuff about him. Hang on.
Who could we have?
Now, I hate to break your bubble slightly. Here.
Don't tell me he's already been in a Doctor Who.
Yeah, sort of a First Doctor one thing that I listen
Oh.
to. I don't listen to much First Doctor, but by coincidence I have listened to one about Alexander.
It's Big Finish. It's not canon. It's fine.
So it was about not Macedonian. Macedonia? Yeah, that's a country. And sort of like a siege of Macedonia. Stuff like that.
That's so crazy.
Siege?
Do you want to know my next one? My next one is actually
Go
quite
on.
good.
Okay.
And you might not know this person, but a little Google, it'll make sense. Robert Falcon Scott. I'll give you a little bit of background on Robert Falcon Scott. He was one of the first British people to go to do the race to the North Pole.
Will, is this happen to do anything to do with Around the World in 80 Days?
No, it's this.
Oh no, that was that was North Pole, not
That's
all the way around. Yeah.
exactly. This is the race to the North Pole. Google it, Dan. You'll find
Because
it interesting.
there was, I think it's a story, but there's that story that is around the world in 80 days, and then that's the bet.
With
and
Phileas Fogg,
with Phileas Fogg, who is played by
David Tennant.
What was the name of the guy?
Robert Falcon Scott, or Falcon, Falcon.
Oh, Falcon
course.
is in Falcon.
Yep.
Oh, he's cool.
He's interested. I've done my research.
Yeah, but he hasn't because I'm doing it. I don't. He
Did the race to the North Pole? Was it South Pole? Can't remember. Was it snow?
South.
South Pole. Very sorry. Was he British or American?
British.
British. Right. Cool. And of course, South Pole, Ice Warriors, obviously.
Oh, very nice. So you've got the man himself, but he was part of a team of 5 men there called the Terra Nova expedition.
Yes, I've heard about that. Yes.
Which was a very similar thing to what's the
lost
story?
Didn't they? They lost to another country, Norway, or one of the ones, and I'm sure they all died.
What's the thing where where the famous quote is "I'm going outside and I may be some time."
I don't know.
Oh no, it's
to be honest, I'm scared to Google because I'll knock my wire and all recording will stop.
That's fine. Yeah, but that's what it's reminding me of, but he seems to be a different guy. Do you know the expedition when he goes to?
Okay, but we'll go back to Robert Falcon Scott.
Yeah, he's
the
going
Terra
to
Nova?
North Pole. He's going to South Pole.
Okay, Terra Nova, Ice Warriors.
It was
It's right in itself, man.
yeah, it was a Norwegian team that
No,
beat them
fuck, did I say Norway?
by by
I say
34
Norway?
days, apparently.
And they died because
Party of 5 died on the return journey from the pole.
Oh my god! Literally, I said they died on their way back. Fucking come on.
Because
Right,
there's the famous trip to the North Pole, I think.
Do you realize we're now a history podcast, guys?
Yeah.
What year did this happen?
No. What's it called? From my understanding, Captain
Terra Nova?
Oates. Yes, this is to do with the expedition. I somehow got confused. It's the same guy that I was thinking of in this story that I wrote down once before, in which he was part of the 5, and they used a lot of his diaries and such to learn about the story of how they got there, how they all died, etc. And of course, they didn't even win. And on the way back, it was this cold night, and he turns to, I think there was 3 of them left at the time, and he says, I'm going outside and I may be some time, sacrificing himself in order to try and save the others.
Who all died?
Who ironically would all die, yes.
It's not ironic, Dan. It's quite sad.
Yeah, but
You heartless man. Okay, well, Dan's frozen because he's reading,
yeah, sorry.
and he's heavily dyslexic. So give him
It
5
takes me
out.
ages. How it actually states is that he died from hypothermia during the Terra Nova expedition when he walked from his tent into a blizzard. His death, which occurred on his 32nd birthday, is seen as an act of self-sacrifice when aware of that the gangrene and frostbite from which he was suffering from was compromising his other 3 companions' chances of survival.
That's crazy.
So he chose...
Spoilers, it wasn't hypothermia, it was the Ice Warriors.
Oh my goodness, what a way to rewrite history.
Yeah.
I think that sacrifice in itself is something that would be extremely interesting to make a Doctor Who episode of, because really, that's your 3rd act.
Exactly.
It's a bit dark for Doctor Who, but that element of sacrifice and stuff like that.
It's done Rosa Parks very badly, but it still did Rosa Parks.
Rosa wasn't too bad. I think there's
No, to be fair, the actual Rosa part was good.
Yeah.
It was the
villain and yeah.
I'm an evil space racist.
Yes, the evil space racist.
The evil space racist.
And stuff like
and
that,
my
wasn't
final one, because I know you told me to have 3, but then I chucked in Alexander the Great and couldn't think of any baddies. Is Amelia Earhart, as I've said, and she faces the Sea Devils. Now, Dan, you may be thinking to yourself, what? Amelia Earhart playing Sea Devils?
Playing?
How did that happen? Well, I'll tell you how that happened. She crashed. If you look up conspiracies on Amelia Earhart on Wikipedia, that's how I found it. She crashed into this, like, into some jungle. She was with someone else, but I can't remember their name because they're not important. Well, they are important, but obviously not Amelia Earhart. And that's where the Sea Devils come in. There you go. Dan will give you some history about the crash.
Speculation on disappearance.
Yep.
There has been consolidated speculation. There has been considerable speculation on what happened to Earhart and Noonan. Most historians hold to the simple crash and sink theory, but a number of other possibilities have been proposed, including several conspiracy theories. Some suggest that Earhart and Noonan survived and landed somewhere, but either never found or killed.
Basically, they crashed.
Yeah.
And some people even think they sunk, but then some most people think they survived to an island in the vicinity of Howland. It's a Japanese-controlled Marshall Island. And yeah, so that's why. And I think that would be cool. You could have your Sea Devils there.
Yeah, I mean,
because you crash, you disturb their sleep, and then they survive, and then they come and
ditched at sea and presumably died, but there's speculation that they may have survived a bit longer. I like I really like historicals like that take something like that take something like a gap in history where it may have been. The likelihood is it was as simple that they crashed and they died, and then that was it. But then the idea that they crashed and then a bit like in Legend of the Sea Devils, maybe she was taken or like something along those lines would be cool.
What? Like what episode? Sorry, like what?
Legend of the...
A 4 point...
No.
What? A 4
Sorry.
point...
So it's gone. It's either the Daleks...
Was it a 4.4?
Power of the Doctor.
Yes.
They've not been back since Warriors of the Deep with the 5th Doctor. Yeah.
Were they?
I've not
an appearance in anything else.
No. I mean, it's not like Jodie Whittaker ever faced them.
No, I can't remember that.
No. Deleted it.
Cannot remember anything about that episode. What I do remember is how we would have written it, and I think that.
You believe our canon rather than the canon of the actual episode, right? Yeah.
They went back in time, and I can't even remember.
I can't remember it, but it was a good episode. But so what sort of things would you have the Sea Devils do to Amelia Earhart and her companion, presumably?
They're going to be annoyed at her because you crashed your plane into our sea.
It's very much like a Sea Devil, yeah.
I thought that was quite.
It wasn't that far off, like. Right.
And they're going to walk out. There's going to be a shot of them just walking out of the sea at Amelia Earhart, and she's really, really scared, like. And then suddenly, TARDIS materializes.
Mm.
And then Ncuti Gatwa steps out and goes, "I have got a fantastic bottom.
I've got great legs."
Yeah.
Yes. Great. well thought out plot.
And then he sky remotes.
Yeah, he uses sky remote. Yeah, that's a lovely idea to do Amelia Earhart, I think. Nice little pockets of history that can be filled with tiny little Doctor Who stories. So, by the look of it, my ideas are a lot better. You ready?
What the fuck? Right, go on.
So, first up, Christopher Columbus, not the director of Harry Potter, but the adventurer that discovered America. Do you remember him?
The massive racist that killed loads of native Indians. Yeah, carry on, yeah.
I'm whitewashing Doctor Who. Like Winston Churchill.
No, carry on,
take controversial
figures.
figures.
You want to do a story about the
remove
guy that killed loads of Native Americans.
I've taken inspiration here from Chris Chibnall in the fact that...
Oh, that's not a good thing to do, mate. That's the last sentence
it's a way,
you want to hear.
I feel like you could not... I feel like you could make a full episode about Christopher Columbus, about his travel. But you can incorporate him into an episode. And I like the idea that while he was travelling, they used to think...
Raping, killing...
We're making this episode of Doctor Who very friendly, okay? Because they used to think, which is ridiculous to me now, that some people still think this, that if you reach the end of the world, you simply fell off.
Yes.
Because the flat Earth theory and stuff like that, right? So what he did was try and go around and discovered America.
Right.
And obviously doing some stuff you shouldn't do in the first place. And doing some really awful things, heinous crimes in between. I quite like the idea, though.
He quite likes the idea of doing the heinous crimes.
Of really delving deep into his psyche. I like the idea that he travelled into a new world, and that, let's say, instead of, he went through a portal or something along those lines. It's a lazy way of writing it, but he went to a portal, ended up in a completely different world, saw all of these things he didn't know, and he thought he was in a version of hell. And I quite like that. Then you can basically have whatever villain you want to have, because you can have Silurians if you really want to. You can have different worlds. It doesn't really matter. You can have Axons, for goodness sake, if you wanted to.
No, they're fighting Boudica.
They're too busy fighting Boudica. Yeah, but that's my first one. What do you think of that?
Yeah.
Out of 10, what would you give it?
10. Well, you've not really told me who he's facing. You've just told me he falls off the planet of the Earth.
Yeah, and he finds. I'm gonna go with axons.
6.
Yeah,
I'm gonna be
6.
honest, it's 6. I'm not hooked.
No.
I'm not hooked.
But it's a bit like See what I mean by saying that it's a bit like a Christian episode
Story.
where he would be like he wouldn't necessarily be the main focus, but I don't feel like his actual history could make an episode of Doctor Who. So I like the idea of sort of taking him. You can get a lot of sort of humor and stuff. I can see that's something that he would do because he kind of did that with a few characters during Flux and things like that, didn't he? In the same way that was it the Mole Man? What was he called?
I can't remember.
Yeah, the guy from Flux that in Liverpool that was digging the tunnels.
Mole Man. Yeah.
That was digging the tunnels in the same respect. So my next one is the Boston Tea Party. Do you know about this event?
Yeah, they all throw tea off the thingy.
It was a form of sort of like protest and going against Britain.
Boo.
Now the thing with this one is that I'm not sure if it's already happened in Doctor Who in some respect because I have a memory that it's in an episode with William Hartnell, and the Ninth Doctor at one point does say that he was there at the Boston Tea Party, throwing tea into the sea or into the dock.
Okay.
But
So it's
just
a
generally,
Doctor story with the first Doctor and the Ninth Doctor.
I like the story, and I think that the story itself would make a really interesting full historical episode. So no villain that is an alien.
Right. I'd just like to point out a point. When we were coming up with the premise of this episode, of this podcast episode, you said historical figures. You never said events.
I did. I definitely wrote events.
You did, because I made
I did write events.
joke. Yeah, first.
Yeah.
I forgot. Yeah, very sorry.
Okay, my next one is a little bit looser than all the others. So I really want to bring the Reapers back.
Oh, God.
From Father's Day.
Go on, carry on.
Right. Yeah, said the man that put the axons in a story with Boudica. I want to bring the Reapers back because I feel like we've never really seen the ramifications of what they can do. And with this, you need somebody high profile. So you take somebody like Martin Luther King. I wrote Einstein. I thought Einstein would be a better choice.
The King Reapered.
No, I thought Einstein would be an interesting choice because
I was thinking of Oppenheimer.
You could sort of show a difference in sort of the landscape of humanity. Do you know when we did history, Will? Should we just go into our GCSE history real quick? Okay, we did medicine through time, didn't we?
How many years are we going back? We're going back to GCSE history.
All I'm saying is that you could take most of those cases, like Joseph, the smallpox guy, Lidster.
How the fuck am I gonna do
I hoped you would. We got 3s.
They beat cowpox by wanking off some. They beat smallpox by wanking off cows.
By using cowpox instead.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I think that if you sort of broke that cycle, and then the Reapers try to sort of get back at you for it, what the landscape of history would be. So if you took a medicine, like if you could not cure the plague, if the plague didn't die out because of a certain event, then would we still have the plague, or would the world just sort of disappear? That's a huge amount of stakes, and I don't think
you lost me, but carry on.
Yeah, I think that sort of timey-wimey thing with the Reapers would be really, really cool. Although Father's Day does it with probably more of an emotional side, which may be better.
Yeah. So
my final one.
Einstein. Carry on.
Yeah. Einstein or any historical figure. I suggested probably a medicine figure. My final one is probably my favourite.
Okay.
I've got actual ideas of scenes in this one, right? So, do you want your banknotes, right? On your, I think it's the £5. Is it the £5?
I actually have a £5 on me.
Is it £5?
I have a Winston Churchill.
It's not £5.
And I have the Queen. Not to flex, guys, but I am rich.
Back a minute.
How are you guys doing? What I'm currently doing is I'm trying to fold the Queen's face so it looks funny.
Hang on, he's not on the bloody things.
Oh my god, he's not even on it. tell me the man. Just tell me the man. Just tell me the man. I don't care about the money.
Right.
Just tell me.
So, I wanted to do a episode with Charles Darwin.
He's not on any notes, mate.
He was on some notes. So I was slightly wrong in the fact that he's not on the plastic ones. He was on the paper ones when we were kids. But I've googled it. But
okay,
when
Charles Darwin, yeah. So
Yeah.
David Tennant voices Charles Darwin, an adventurous scientist.
what I was going to say was that to think that we used to have £10 notes when we were kids,
I
that
didn't.
our younger viewers may not remember. But if you were given a £10 note for your birthday or something, it would have Charles Darwin on the front of it.
The back of it. It always has.
Or the back of it, yeah, the Queen of the front.
Okay.
Yeah. And I was like, I didn't really know about Charles Darwin till Adventure with the Pirates' Adventure with Scientists. Is that what it's called?
Do you know there's a quote on the back of the £5 note?
Yes. You've got so with Charles Darwin, right? What would be the best thing to put Charles Darwin against?
What?
You know, what would be the best thing to put against Charles Darwin, the man that has been on our monies when we were a kid, and we had no idea who he was, and then the first time that we realised who he was properly in terms of a TV show or a film is in a little kids animated film called Adventure with Pirates and Scientists and stuff like that. Who would you put against? Who would you put like villain-wise against Charles Darwin?
Okay, are we going because of the evolution, or are we going because he's on the notes?
Because of the evolution. The notes was more just a side comment to say it'd be quite good to get Charles Darwin in because for us we spent all those years with him on our money and we had no idea who he really was.
Charles Darwin was before I saw him on a £10 note.
I didn't remember he was on our money, but of course it was a long time ago.
Well, because it doesn't matter that he's on the money. He's Charles fucking Darwin.
Right, yes.
Jadoon. They're animals.
Now I've made a connection.
Oh god. Now your last connection was let's do Charles Darwin because he was on our old £10 notes. So
I thought it'd be cool to like have that as part of the episode. That like he's so prolific, but you know
he's not prolific because he's on the £10 notes.
no,
He's prolific because
he's
yeah.
The theory of evolution is so prolific, and he's on like the pound notes, but he's never actually been done in a Doctor Who episode. Is a bit bizarre.
It doesn't matter about the £pound note.
So
Get the £pound notes out of your head. It's Charles fucking Darwin.
So what did Charles Darwin do, Will? This will bring me on to
The theory of evolution.
The theory of evolution. Do you know who really is big into evolution as well? The Cybermen. Mind blown. Look at his face. He doesn't know what to say.
No, but I'm just like, of course you put. I was trying to think outside of the box.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to go for your Weeping Angels or your Vashta Narada. We'd all love to see the Vashta Narada again, but we're going to play it safe.
We're going to play it safe, and we're going to go with the Cybermen. If it's good enough for Moffat and Chibnall, then it's good enough for me. Although not the script for Legend of the Sea Devils.
What? What episode?
Oh yeah, sorry, yeah. Yeah. I don't know. It must have just slipped out.
Right, what's the basic plot?
So, I like the idea that the Cybermen intend to confirm their next step in their own evolutionary scale. So then when the Darwin is confronted by Cybermen, he begins to question his own theory that this is what we are now, but what we've become in the future.
So Darwin thinks we evolve into Cybermen.
Yes.
Okay.
So you play with the idea that, that the Cybermen are the next step in evolution, essentially. You could make it a thing where, you go through the books and, the Doctor's going through the book and he just sees, the image of a Cyberman in that scale. You could go along that line, or you can go along the line that the Cybermen are sort of invading Darwin's life in order to confront him and to...
No, I like the first idea.
Yeah. I lost.
He's just studied Cybermen without knowing they're Cybermen, and then the Doctor just stumbles across Darwin and goes, massive fan, and he's like, I really want to see your work, and then he realises there's a Cyberman. He's like, where did you find this?
And then boom, there's our episode with Darwin and the Cybermen.
Okay, so now what I think we should do.
Okay.
Is we should choose one of our favourite ones, put them up two against each other. The one that wins, we go away and write a basic plot and episode. Or we'll do it right now on the spot.
So you think we should take one episode and go a bit more in depth on it?
Yeah, okay. Do you want to do Boudica and the Axons?
Not really.
Do you want to do Alexander the Great with whatever we want?
I think Alexander the Great is a big bit of history that will be a bit complicated to do.
Do you want to do the Terra Nova and the Ice Warriors?
I like the Terra Nova and the Ice Warriors, yes.
Do you want to do Amelia Earhart and Sea Devils?
Not as much as I want to do the Ice Warriors.
Okay, so
take that out of context.
Okay, so we've got the Ice Warriors. Dan, what were your three again?
Christopher Columbus falling off the world.
No, we're not doing that one.
The Boston Tea Party historical thing, but not really worth doing.
No.
Historical event like Einstein or the smallpox vaccine.
No.
With the Reapers, and then of course Darwin and the Cybermen.
I think yours is Darwin. Right, so it's up against.
So we've got your Antarctic expedition versus the Cybermen and Charles Darwin. So now we both have a historical figure / event to talk about in an episode of Doctor Who. Instead of trying to properly outline scripts on the spot, I thought it'd be best to leave it up to you to decide which one was best and therefore wins this strange episode of the podcast. And to close the episode, I thought I would cut back to myself and Will. For context, it's worth noting, even though Will is so professional you can't tell that it's happening, is that Will's losing battery in his AirPod and it's about to go off. And he's trying to rush through the outro of the podcast as quickly as he can so he doesn't cut off awkwardly. But Will is such a professional, you won't be able to tell.
And can we please wrap this up? My AirPod's on 3%.
Yes. So, that is it for the Who podcast for this month. Thank you very much for listening. Hopefully you did enjoy. Will, do you want to quickly name out all of the various platforms?
Spotify, Spreaker, Deezer, iHeartRadio. What, that one?
You started on too quickly. What else you got?
Spotify, Spreaker, Deezer, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Podchaser.
You normally say Podlover. Yeah?
Yeah, but don't worry. You don't need to remember all the places like, oh my God, 2%. You don't need to remember all the places like Spotify, Spreaker, Deezer, iHeartRadio. They're all on the link tree down below. Thank you guys very much. I'll see you all next time. Bye.